The Locker Room is brought to you by Will and Tim of Brooker Athlete Management. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Locker Room. I'm here with one of the biggest guests we've had since the beginning of the show, Paul Gallen. How you going, bro?
I'm good, mate. Pretty good.
How's the off-season been for you? You've got a fight next week. You've been training. What have you been up to? Just training, or?
Yeah. Look, I hurt my ankle in the last game. I tore a ligament. Not real bad, but bad enough to keep me in the boot for a couple of weeks. So didn't do a lot of rehab, to be honest. It's the end of the season. Had a couple of drinks that night, to be honest. Physios and everyone sort of goes away, and we're beaten pretty convincingly. So we just want to forget about footy. So I just sort of left me ankle in the boot for a couple of weeks, and then obviously the fight was confirmed with Bodine Thompson for the 3rd of November. So got in training for that and been pretty much training for that. I haven't been doing a lot of running because of the ankle, but I've been doing enough to get by, and I've been doing plenty of sparring the past 3 weeks and plenty of pad work. So I'll be well prepared for it. That's about it, mate. Had my brother's wedding last weekend up in the sunny coast. I went up there for a few days and spending time with the kids. Been pretty flat out, but been enjoying it.
And mentally, like, in the off season is usually time like you got to switch off, but for you, obviously, you've got to stay. Some would say even more switched on because you've got boxing. Obviously, it's such a mentally tough sport. How are you feeling going into it? Are you feeling refreshed, ready to go, or are you feeling like
No, I feel good. Yeah, look, a lot of people say that don't you want to break, and it's a break from footy. It's totally different training. It's a totally different sport. I'm around totally different people. And I like to stay busy. I'm the type of bloke who likes to stay motivated for something. I'm not the kind of guy who can, go to Bali and just sit on a beach for a couple of weeks.
I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, well, if I can go to Hawaii and I don't mind sitting on the beach and going for a paddleboard for a couple of hours, but then I want to go shopping and I want to have a look around. And after probably 2 or 3 days, I want to do some training. I want to do some weights. So I enjoy staying motivated, and boxing has been able to do that for me for probably the past 2 or 3 years.
And is boxing something that you've always enjoyed? Like, is it something that you, as growing up, you kind of did on the side, or is it just something later in life that you've said, you know what, I might have a crack at this? Or
look, when I was a teenager, I used to go down to the local gym and basically just punch the bags and do a little bit, but only for fitness. Never did any sort of amateur training or wanted to have any amateur fights, and that's what happened when I got into first grade. I started doing some boxing for extra fitness, and then years went by, and I think in about would have been 2008 or 9, maybe even 10, somewhere around that, in those 2 or 3 years. In the pre-season, they actually got a boxing trainer down and do a lot of training with us. So we started doing that, and he said to me, mate, you should think about having a fight. And never thought about it. And then the opportunity came up, I think it was the end of 12 or 13, to fight a bloke named Hicker Elliott, who played for the All Blacks at the time and the Waikato Chiefs. And no one would fight him because he'd had 100-odd kickboxing and karate fights and won them all. And I said, I'll fight him. And actually, mate, to the point where I got over there, and Jeff Fennick was over there training Willie Mason at the time. And Jeff Fennick and a couple of other guys said, mate, this guy can seriously fight.
What have you gotten yourself into?
And Jeff, I know Jeff well, and he's okay. He said, look, if you pulled out of this, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. I'm like, I'm not pulling out. And then I remember the morning of the fight, the Mad Butcher, the Mad Butcher, the Warriors fan. I get on well with him, and he goes, mate, you're in trouble. I said, mate, I said, I promise you I'm going to win. He goes, you're paying $3.50. I said, mate, I promise you I'll win. Anyway, I went in and I won quite easily.
Really?
And when I walked out of the thing, the Mad Butcher was hugging me and cuddling me. And I'm like, he coming to me later on. He goes, I put a little bit on you. That's how it all started. And then I've had probably 3 or 4 since then.
Yeah, and 3 to 4 good performances. That you seem to be getting better and better and more comfortable in the ring, from what I've seen anyway, since the first fight. Who's been the toughest opponent in the ring so far for you?
Oh, look, they've all been pretty. But besides the one versus Anthony Watts where he hurt his shoulder, that lasted a minute. I can't really count that. Although it's on my record, I don't really count it. Liam Messam, my second, that was another charity one with 16-ounce gloves. That was a split decision. That was quite hard. Look, I thought I won, and he even said at the end, mate, I won quite easily. I never got hit too much. He hit me with a couple of right hands, but just the pace we went at, he was pretty fit. We went back and forth at each other. At a rapid rate. So that physically, like taxing, that was pretty hard. And then my first fight against Herman Eni Purcell, he actually dropped me in the first round. And then in the second round, I could tell he was just absolutely gassed. And for some reason, he come at me. I don't know whether he was trying to psych me out, and he walked at me with his hands down. And I just hit him.
It's like, this is on the platter.
And just kept hitting him. and got a TKO finish, and I couldn't understand why he come at me like that, and he just said he was just gassed. I think he was trying to psych me out a bit by saying, look, you can't hurt me, but lucky enough I did hurt him and got the win. And the one at the start of the year, look, that was against a guy who was pretty experienced, but I was pretty comfortable in the fact that he couldn't hurt me. But that was a tough fight. I got a unanimous decision there. So they're all hard, they're all different, but I've enjoyed them all.
Even if they're not physically, as in you get knocked out or whatever, they're cardio-wise, they're extremely hard. When you step into boxing ring, it's never going to be an easy fight.
Exactly. You're 100% right. Even guys that I've been doing a lot of sparring lately. You spar some good. Nathan Mackay is a good heavyweight. I've been sparring. I think he's ranked. He's in the top. He was around 12, I think. He's won 6, lost 2, and the 2 he's lost have been against some pretty big punches. And we really rip in and we go okay. But then I spar some amateurs, thinking, this will be easy, and it's not. They hit you just as many times. So look, I'm not experienced enough or good enough in the boxing world to be able to get in a ring with anyone and take it easy. I have to be well and truly on my game. And
a fight it's been rumoured. I know, it's been a kind of whispered about fight with Sonny Bill. Is that something that is a real possibility in the future for you, or is it just like if that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I hope it's a real possibility, but I think it's getting to the point now where if it happens, hopefully it does happen. And that was spoken about after that first fight against Hicker.
Yep.
All the word, you got to fight Sonny Bill straight away. And
okay.
Look, I want to do it. It's just lining us up. At the end of the day, mate, I'm a footy player, I'm a footy player. I've been training for boxing for the past 4 weeks. Since my fight in January, I haven't done any training. I've been training the last 4 weeks. So to line our schedules up to get it, that's the biggest issue. He's in the World Cup at the moment. He's going to want to break after the World Cup.
Yep.
I can only fight until the 31st of January. That's written in my contract. So after that, I won't be able to do it. Then I'll go back in the football season and I'm 100% focused on the footy. So hopefully we can line it up maybe next year, maybe the end of next year. But we'll just have to wait and see.
That'd be a big fight. I'd love to watch that. So taking you back to your footy career, debuting all the way in 2001, it's been a roller coaster of a career for you. Did you ever imagine that this could possibly be like the dramatic? It's been such a dramatic career, ups and downs. You make your Origin debut, you miss it some, you miss the team. I think you made your debut and then you didn't get picked the next year.
I got picked in a dead rubber. I've had a real checkered Origin career. People think of me as an Origin player who's been there for the past 10 years. And while I have played in every series, as you said, picked in one game 2006, picked in a dead rubber 2007, 2009. I think I wasn't picked in the first game. Only played one game that year. 2010, I think I might have only played one game 2010 as well. And then I sort of did get picked continually. And then I remember one of the most heartbreaking things, 2013, I had to pull out the decider with Jared Hayne. A couple of us had to pull out the decider, and the boys got beaten by 2 points in Sydney. And
that could have been the difference.
I remember the next year, they got 2 games in Queensland the next year. I was like, I'm going to have to wait to anyway. We ended up beating them in 2014 finally. So so look, I've played a lot of Origin footy, and I'm known as a heart and soul in New South Wales. Certainly early on, it was very checkered. I didn't play in a real lot of games. And that
keeping that motivation to continually get selected, was it a conscious decision of I'm in and out of Origin, yet a lot of players when they come in and out of Origin, they kind of not lose the motivation, but they get hit with that corner.
They do, and they take a back seat almost, and then it can affect them. Look, I wasn't like that. I suppose I always wanted to strive to be better. I still strive to be better today. I haven't played for Australia since the Anzac Test 2014 because the start of this year I was injured. I had my hip injury and I missed it. So I want my Australian jumper back. I want to play for Australia one more time, and so I'm determined to start next year better than what I played before. And that was what I was doing back then when I wasn't making these sides. I was like, okay, there's a tour at the end of this year. There's a 4 Nations tour to England. I have to play good to make that. And that's what I did. I kept playing as good as I can. No, that mate, week in, week out footy. I want to be as good a player as I can. I want to be the best player on the field and better than my opposition, and that's what I've always tried to do.
And that's the funny thing with footy is if you can forget most things, as long as you're going out and playing as good as you possibly can, it usually takes care of itself. And that's something that I think a lot of rookies struggle. I know I struggle with it. You think about so many other things that are going on, like, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, instead of just going, you know what, if I go out and play as good as I can, everything takes contracts, rep teams like kind of take care of itself.
Yeah, that's right. Mate, I think, I've never had a lot to do with Wayne Bennett, but I've had a little bit to do with him, and a couple of things I picked up on him. He said, mate, you'll do the best you can all the time, and that's one thing I had to talk to him a couple of years ago, and he said, look, one thing about you, no one can ever take away from you, is that no matter what, you're always doing the best for the team. You're always trying to do the best. You're always trying to better yourself, and whether you do things that people like or don't like, which I've done plenty as well. At the end of the day, you're doing the best thing you can for the team, or what you think is right for the team, and that's always been my attitude. And then, I've been lucky enough that a lot of the times I played well enough to impress people and been able to make rep teams and obviously, have had a pretty long career.
And that win, the 2014 win for you, you captained the side in that win. I mean, take us to that moment when you're sitting on the field, the amount of stress you would have felt of that 8-win streak. I mean, I can't. I'm trying to put into words how you would have felt, because it would have been so dramatic. When you're on that field, the buzzer went, 8-win streak's over. History has been done. It's over now. They've finally beaten that Queensland side. What was that? What were you feeling? What were you thinking?
Oh, there was so many things. Relief was a little bit of it. Just joy. I'll never forget that last minute. Queensland got the ball back on their own try line, and we actually we tried to kick it, at ricocheted, and Billy Slater was in the open space, and I could just see him picking up the ball and running the length.
Your heart was just starting
to break. A number of games for Australia with him. I've seen him do it, and thank God Reynolds pulled him down and gave away a penalty. And I just remember that last set of 6, I was just running everywhere, wherever I could, and we all were. And then when they, there was that many of us running towards the ball, when they got over the far right-hand side of the field, they had no choice but to kick it, and they kicked it, and Hainsey got hold of the ball and
he kicked it
ran it dead, and that was enormous. I remember it was Big Toops, the big winger. He was the first one to hug me, and to think at my age and at his age, it was his first series. I've finally won one.
Oh, okay,
he's probably 21 years old or whatever he was. I'm 32 or whatever I was at maybe 3 at the time. To hug him, something I'll never forget, and then just mate, it was just it was enormous.
That's so crazy.
A lot of tears, and it was crazy,
And it's so crazy to think, as you just that point you just made of like a whole career. That's 8 years. That's more than most careers. 8 years is a lot more than most careers. The average, I think it's like 42 NRL games.
That's
right. That's like a lot of that's a career's worth of losses, and then to finally just break it and just that relief.
Yeah, it was good, mate. A whole lot of relief. Look, Queensland have been. They have been blessed to have this group of players, but on top of that, there's an old saying that people say, a champion team beats champion players, so to speak. But the thing about Queensland, not only have they had champion players, they've been a champion team. I'm a staunch New South Wales bloke, we know that, and I don't like Queensland, but I'm mature enough and old enough to know that these guys, not only are they once in a life, a lot of them are once in a generation players. They play hard for each other. That's why it makes them so hard to beat. And especially back then, and even now. They took us to the side of this year and towed us up. So hopefully next year we can get some revenge back. And
it's in the ironic thing, or not ironic, but it's a snowball effect. It kind of like the first 2 or 3 years for them, it just kept the culture that they had just seemed to work so perfectly. It snowballed into such a hard train to kind of stop, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, there was years, when I wasn't always in the team. Probably 2009, 2010, those series. I remember, I wasn't always picked, as I said, I wasn't picked for the first games at the start of those series, but I remember one game, I think it might have been the 2010 game. I think I wasn't picked for game 1, but it was at Sydney. It was either 9 or 10, I can't remember exactly. And I remember driving to the ground, and I remember looking at the two teams, and I remember thinking, look, as much as I want to go for New South Wales, I don't think they can win this. And Cameron Smith wasn't even playing for Queensland. He was injured at the time.
No, I think they had Gallen in there or something like that.
Gallen was playing, and I just said, look, I just can't see them winning. And I just remember driving to the ground so deflated, and that was the times where they were too good. They were too good, Queensland. And I think they won that series. They did win that series 3-0. But then you go to 2011, 12, 13. I mean, they were tight series. They were all
very
won.
Tight.
They were all taken to a decider and won in very close games. And one of them, Cooper Cron, had to kick a field goal from 41 metres out. So.
And they won, and a referee's decision could have changed a lot of them.
Yes, a couple of referees' decisions, and a lot of them. But you don't want to blame referees. That becomes an excuse at the end of the day. But there were some definitely, when you look back on it, you sort of think, that could have gone either way. Unfortunately, it went against us.
And so take us back to, what is your most, other than obviously the breaking of the streak, what's your most memorable Origin moment where you look back and you say, that'll be a kind of still image in my mind of, this was such an important moment for us or for yourself?
Oh, I can't say 2014.
Yeah, well, you can say that. You can say it.
Oh, look, obviously 2014, because that's, I've had a lot of Origin wins, just one-off game wins. And I've played well. I've picked up a couple of man of the matches. I won the Wally Lewis medal, which was enormous for me in 2014. I mean, that's a great individual honour to win. So I've had a number of them, but I think Hainsey taking the ball over the dead ball line, just seeing that crowd, seeing the Blatchies Blues in the background. That moment will be etched in my mind forever. Yeah,
it's a pretty iconic moment too. It just seemed, it was so dramatic the way it happened, like him running out the back of the sideline and see all that.
Running towards the Blatchies Blues was just like it was meant to be. So it was good.
And so you've not only have you had a roller coaster Origin career, but your career with the Sharks has been it's like you've been in an era where Sharks they've been unexpectedly going so well and then unexpectedly going so bad, and then that's been a roller coaster for you too. And also what a lot of people, and this is obviously just my opinion, but what a people may not realise is you could take the easy way. You could have taken the easy way out quite a few years ago and gone to a club that wasn't struggling, that was guaranteed semi-finals footy, because you're that kind of player. Was it a conscious decision that, I'm going to ride it out and be a part of this club forever, or?
Yeah, it was. Look, I joined Cronulla because they were always so good. And that's why I went there. I left Parramatta. Parramatta didn't really want me. Noel Khalil told me, look, you'll play here next year in the reserve grade or the Jersey flag, and but if I were you, I'd leave. Thankfully, I got on really well with his son. So I signed with Cronulla because they were always making the semi-finals. They could never be beaten at Shark Park. And when I come to the club, that was the same thing. 2001, I made my debut. I was involved in the semi-final series. They played the grand final qualifier. 2002, I played in the grand final qualifier versus the Warriors. We probably could have beaten them at the time. And then I just thought it was always going to happen. And then all of a sudden, 2003, 4, 5, never made the semi-finals. It wasn't until 2000, or maybe 5 or 6, we made it again. And then 6 and 7, never. 2008, I played in another grand final qualifier against the Melbourne Storm side without Cameron Smith. We were smashed, played terrible. And then, had some really hard years. 2009, 2010, the club financially really struggling.
That's what I was going to say,
really badly. And we just, we're spending only the salary cap on the whole club. We couldn't on the whole club. From the kids to the reserve grade to the first grade. It was
whole salary cap.
Everything. And that was it. The salary cap wasn't even...
It's not even made for that.
There was a grant, so we were spending the grant. So say the salary cap was 4 million, the grant was 3.5.
Yep.
We were spending 3.5 on everything. on everything.
Wow, so that's, I did not know that.
That's how hard it was at the time. And people wondered why we couldn't compete with the top sides, basically. And that was the reason. And the opportunities I had to leave was 2007 to join Manly. That was my closest. So I actually went to Manly, had friends who lived over there, and actually looked for a house to move into where I wanted to live. And Ricky
Stewart, were very dominant in those years, weren't they?
They were, yeah. But people forget. I mean, that we finished equal first that year at Cronulla.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the year we played Melbourne to make the grand final. Because Cronulla, because we struggled so badly through that era, people go, "Why didn't you leave?" But that was when we had a great side.
Yep, there's a bit of hope there.
That was when Greg Bird had his incident. Fraser Anderson left the club. We lost Brett Seymour in a training accident. Did his ACL at training a few days before the major semi.
And he was one of the best halfbacks in the game at the time.
Brett Kamali was there at the time. So we had a big opportunity that year, and we blew it basically with those little things that went wrong for us. But so that was the first time, and that was probably the closest I was to going. And then when Ricky Stewart left in 2010, I had a coaching clause to get out of my contract if he left. And it was it was Manly, and look, I was definitely considering going because the club was in such a bad place at that time. But my dad always said to me, "I want you to stay at one club." That was what he said to me from the start. If you're going to stay at a club, if you're going to devote your life to something, you might as well stay there and do it. And he was probably the deciding factor in why I stayed at the club. To be honest with you, so that was why. Manly won the comp in 2011, but. So Manly, if you want to win a comp, try to get me over there. You'll win it next year.
And so the hard years at Cronulla. Mentally, I can ask the obvious question of how taxing was that, and you're going to tell me mate, it was the most taxing thing in your life. But how would you explain it so that people could understand the weight that you felt through those years, especially with the scandal and the dramas and all that kind of stuff? I mean, like when you were going home after a training session, how were you feeling? Were you like, this is too much? Like, I just need to get away from this?
Yeah, it was, mate. It was ridiculous what we had to go through and what we did go through. And, you know, in those first few months, you know, it was, you know, being the captain of the club, being an older guy, I had a lot of guys leaning on me.
Yep.
And I haven't told too many people this. I had guys, you know, I won't mention their names, but, you know, 3 or 4 blokes sitting in my lounge room until midnight. Like, what are we going to do? What's happened? How did this happen? You know, and here I am. We've got 2 kids, a pregnant wife. Yep. We were renting at the time because we were building a house.
Oh man. And
I remember going to my builder saying, "Mate, I think you have to stop building because I don't know if I'm going to keep getting paid. I don't know what's going on." You know, there come a day where we were told, you know, you're not playing anymore. Don't turn up. And one day we never turned up, and Flano, they're like, "Mate, where are you?" And we're like, "What do you mean? You don't know what's going on?" And anyway, the next day he got sacked, and it was just like you couldn't. Some of the things you wouldn't believe, and yeah, you know. And then 2013, we almost become immune to it. To be honest with you, it's just
numb.
Yeah, it kept. Every day we'd turn up for training, there'd be 30 media waiting for us when we would walk in or drive in, and we'd end up just walking and say, "Hey guys," we just sort of become immune.
Create relationships to them.
It was really funny. It turned out like that because it was in the paper every single day.
Yep.
After those first couple of months, we just sort of become immune to it. We played footy and we played well that year. You know, we played Manly in the second week of the semis, and you know, I scored a try with about 3 or 4 minutes to go, which would have evened it up, but it was disallowed because Johnny Morris, you know, touched one of the markers, and you know, what could have gone on there if we won that game? Who knows what could have happened? But
we
obviously never. Yeah, and then 2014 was harder because we'd lost Flano. We had Sharpie there, who was such a good bloke, but he just from day one he said he didn't really want to be there.
Yeah, which is.
And look, we just struggled with injuries.
Did you feel rudderless? Like, did you feel like you were kind of floating?
Yeah, and it wasn't anyone's fault. Like I've blamed Sharpie accidentally in the public before, and I shouldn't have done it like that because I didn't mean it. Like I didn't mean it to sound like that. It got taken out of context, but.
It's so much different, like the print of it. Like if you're reading something and you don't actually
the way someone says it, that's right. So I you know, while I did slip up there, you know, he knows I didn't mean it like that, and it was just hard, really hard. We had Steve Noyce there he was just doing his best for the players, yet he couldn't really run the business side of the club. It was just hard, and being the captain, you know, everything comes back. Not everything, but a lot of it comes back to me, and. You know, the ASADA thing would only pop up once a month back then, so it wasn't in the paper all the time. It only sort of come up once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden you think, "Oh, is this going to happen now? What's going to happen?" And
so did you have that much information, or was it more just like they kind of hovered over your head?
Everything we found out was through the paper. Everything we found out was through the paper. It was ridiculous.
That is poor.
Everything.
This is your livelihood. Like you've got families and stuff.
That's right. Everything we found out was through the papers. So it was, and a lot of it, probably 90% of it was speculation. It was just people saying things, and then would start panicking and ring each other, and you know, it was a hard time. And I think, look, I thought about it today, so I thought it would come up. But, you know, the one thing is now is everything that's ever spoken about now is I always get tweeted about it. It's only ever my name. You know, it's like the whole rest of the squad were never involved. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't know half the people's names that are involved, but everyone knows my name, and that's the hardest thing for me. But mate, it is what it is. I can't change. It was a tough time. I just got to get on with life.
And like I get the feeling that there's a mountain underneath this tip that we see, and obviously I'm not asking you to talk about that because I know that, you know, there's obviously so much more going on than I know. But I mean, if there was like, if you could eventually just say to everyone, this is exactly what happened, do you feel that everyone would be like, sit back and go, you know what, I've got a completely wrong idea about all this?
Look, I think if I was able to tell my story, I think it would be, people would sort of think, well,
understand.
You know, he's
Because I remember
not so much understand, but it would open people's eyes up a bit to exactly what happened and how it all went down. And look, I'll say right now and back everyone who was involved. There's no way anyone went into this thing thinking we're going to cheat the system here.
Yep.
We're going to
was
take
not a
something to make us better. It was never anything like that whatsoever. But
Yep. And the thing that a lot of people don't understand, because I've done like a bit of research into it, the peptide that you guys are accused of taking allegedly is not necessarily a performance-enhancing drug. It doesn't actually enhance your performance. It's a recovery drug of a naturally occurring thing in your body. And so that's I think that's been a misrepresentation by the media a bit, that they've made out that it's like a steroid that makes you stronger, faster, or whatever.
Yeah. Like, to be honest with you, I've never even checked it out.
Oh, really?
I don't even know that. Yep. But I'm not too sure exactly. But certainly, we were never told or never did anything to think that we were going to be chemically enhanced.
Oh, mate. And I've said it to because I had Shandor Earl on my show as well, and I said it to him. I've taken needles before for pain injections to play, and never ever did I go, well, what is that? What's in it? I trusted the doctor. He's a doctor.
That's right, and that's the thing people, and it sort of annoyed me a bit at the time.
Yep.
When a heap of ex-rugby league players would get on these shows and say, hang on a sec, guys, you're getting given a needle, surely you've got to ask a question. Mate, if you're going to be on TV and you're going to be honest and you're a rugby league player or former rugby league player, needles are a part, I'm not going to say, they're weekly. They're a weekly part, whether it be cortisone injection, pain-killing injection, vitamin Bs, flu shots,
100%.
You name it. They go on weekly. Painkillers are a weekly thing to get on the field.
If there isn't at least a couple of players in your team
every week
getting pain injections,
that's right.
You're not like someone's not having. You're either losing or you've got some kind of miracle.
And that's right. And that's the thing, you don't say what is that, and you don't get it, and you don't chemically check it. And it's
they would say, mate. They just say, mate, it's a pain injection, and you would say, oh, okay, sweet. Well, let's. You wouldn't even say that. All the supplements too, but.
That's the way it is, mate. It's, as I said, it was a tough time, but we just got to get on with it now.
And we're about to go into another tough time.
Which one? There's been plenty.
So the issue with I haven't actually read the whole story of it, but you sent a tweet out. I don't know if it was you or your father was on your Twitter, and the exchange with Dave Cameron.
Cameron
was, I don't know. You said something about like CUNT words.
Oh no, that was that. No, that was that. Yeah, no, that was that was me. No, this is the funny thing. People ask me about, or don't ask me. They always go, "Was this your dad this time?"
Oh, so that was speculate. It was
it was really my dad. This is the funny. This is the thing. Okay. This was about this tweet where I got the fine, the big fine for it. Yeah, that was fine. Me. Yeah. But about a year earlier, we played the Roosters one night in Dennis Sharp Park, and we won. And I got man of the match and. The Dylan Napper from the he hit me with a good shot off the kickoff, and I ran into him a couple more times in the last sort of few minutes of the first half, and Joey Johns come to me at half time and goes, "Oh, Dylan Napper got you a good shot. You've been going, AJ." I said, "Yeah, he got me once. He didn't get the other two, so I'm up 2-1." Yep. And anyway, that night I had my dad. My dad was his birthday. It was August 2013, I think it was. He was down and. We went home and we were having a few drinks. It was just with Dad. It was his birthday, and it was only the two of us. And all of a sudden, Toddy Carney started ringing my phone. I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "Have you seen what Brian Smith's writing about you?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And Dad's never a fan of Brian Smith, so we had to look on through.
Give me that phone.
So
it's his birthday.
He actually wrote. This is Paul's dad. He actually wrote it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's not like I'm.
You never saw that in the media.
He actually wrote it. So it's not like I'm gonna write.
This is Paul's dad.
And then next day, and I just turned up to train the next day, and all the journos were there, and I just told him as it was. I said, "Yeah, Dad wrote it," and I had no idea people were thinking I was lying, and because he actually did it. Anyway, and then so then the last one come up last year. Yeah, look, I was in Hawaii with my wife. Had a good night with Mitchell Pearce and a few other guys, and I was going home and I just found out Steve Noyce got sacked from the club, from the Sharks. And he helped
Steve through that
Noyce, as I said, I don't know how much he did with the business side of things because he's always worried about us. He helped me personally immensely with everything that happened, and I was shattered that he got sacked, to be honest. And all these things just happened. I went out that night, that happened. I got talking to a few people. They started asking me about it because it's obviously pretty fresh. People's mind.
Stirring you up a bit.
Yeah, no, well, they were with me. They were okay. But then leaving the club, there was a group of Aussies there started stirring me up. And I was like, anyway, on the way home, I've checked me. I got back in the hotel and I checked my Twitter and Instagram feed, and a bloke had tagged me in a photo. And we were walking around the streets that day, and he grabbed me. He goes, "Oh, mate, can I get a photo?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a photo with him." And he was real nice. And anyway, had the photo with me, and he's ended up giving me a pasting in the words. What? And I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to swear. I was so angry.
What? So he's nice to your face.
Nice to me.
You
face,
do him a favour, stop.
Me, and then he sprayed me, and I was absolutely filthy. And I just remember how angry I was.
Yeah,
and,
yep.
And look, I can't tell what happened with the NRL earlier.
Yep.
But there was reasons I was pretty upset.
Yep.
At them, and as I said, mate, all these things just happened. and
I
wrote it, and then I wrote it in the foyer of the hotel. Got to my room. Told my missus, she said, delete it. So I deleted it. That would have been less than 5 minutes.
And it was done.
Sure enough, it was out there, yeah.
I mean, 50 grand. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a big fine. I ended up paying 35, so I suspended 15 and I paid 35 of it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's an expensive tweet.
Oh, that is a very expensive tweet.
Yeah, it's not funny.
Bro.
All I can do is laugh about it now, because if I don't laugh about it, I'll go crazy. Yeah.
And he's no longer with, obviously he's moved on. Do you think that's obviously you don't have to answer this either, but do you think it's a positive or negative for footy? Do you think he's done a good job? Or do you think
to be honest with you, I actually got on all right there, Matt. As a bloke, I thought he was all right. And I thought he did a good job. Look, it's a position that's a no-win situation, especially where he got against the Telegraph for some reason. I don't know what happened, but the Telegraph used to just paste him. And I don't know if the new bloke, they might not like him either. But look, I thought he was okay. I thought he was all right. I never had an issue with him. There's a few things that happened around that time. But
it's a tough job, man.
100% it's a tough job. But he was good to me. I did a number of corporate events where he invited me into his box at ANZ Stadium around Grand Final Day, Origin 1 this year, where I couldn't play Origin 1 this year. I went. So I had no issue with him personally. I thought he was okay. I don't know enough about the business side of things, but just from a player looking in, I thought he did an okay job. I mean, he's got this grant that's coming from the government to build, these fantastic new stadiums. So. Yeah, look, I'm not going to complain or bitch and moan about him.
And I wanted to, before we get into positive things, even though this could be considered a positive thing from a lot of people, your fight with Nate Myles. I want to talk. Yeah. I would actually, two things I wanted to talk about is your fight with Nate Myles and the ad after it that you did. That was hilarious. that was hilarious.
I'll tell you about that. It's funnier.
Okay, so I'll get it up and I'll just turn this around for you so you can just kind of walk us through what you were thinking and what kind of happened and all that kind of stuff. But it was. This will go down in Origin folklore, but it was it was one of those things.
Part of ruined the game of rugby league, this fight.
I was about to say, how do you feel being responsible for the one punch rule?
It's
and the irony is, like, such a tough player, and you've been in, I think I counted like 3 fights that on the field in your career, or maybe even 4.
Yeah, at the most, if that,
Anyway, I'll play this and just tell us what you were thinking.
Yeah, so he got me with a little one there. So what happened? I'll tell you the whole story. There's a run I had a sore knee at the time, and everyone knew about it. And I had a run earlier in the game, not long before that, just before Jenko scored the try. And he got it, and he fully twisted me knee, and you can see it. There's footage of it. And with Jenko scored, and I said, if you do that again, I promise I'm going to punch you in the head. And semi-thigh day was a little bit of a push and shove. I said, I promise you I'm going to punch you in the head.
Don't break promises either.
And with that run, there was, as you can see on the clock, there was about a minute to go. And if you watch here, I saw his head, so I thought I'd give him a little cheap shot, which I did there. Not too much, and he knew it. And he gave me one back on the ground. And I won't say exactly what was said, because it's going to be, if I ever write a book, it'll be good. And I just thought, righto. Let's do it. So
I don't break my promises.
And I remember when I hit him the first time and I had my right handgun, I thought, if I crack him with this, it's going to go. So I remember not fully falling right into the right hand. But then it was on. But if you watch that fight and you watch it closely, with your viewers at home, I actually come out with a little mark under my eye. There's a player, I won't say his name, he come in and give me with a great swinging.
Oh, really?
I've never spoken about it, and I know exactly who it is. So if you ever get slow motion, maybe you can get a few people right in.
You've got me curious now, bro. You've got me curious.
No, there's a bloke there who got me a good cheap shot, and he had a few words to say about the incident at the end of the game as well. But he...
it wouldn't happen to be one Cozza Parker.
May well be. But he got me with a good little up here. No, I didn't even know. I actually thought it was Nate. I thought it was Nate.
Okay,
and I never knew until I'd see the replay a bit later. Yeah, I did come out of it with a little bit of a red mark.
You're just like, how'd you get the red mark? You didn't even hear.
Yeah.
And so the ad that you guys did, because it was hilarious. How did that all come about? Who rang who?
Well,
And
the thing was, obviously, I got charged of that and stopped the punching rule altogether. And the best thing about that was the way me and Nate carried. We just left it there. Nate knew what he said. He knew exactly what happened. And he never complained about it once. It was everyone else who complained about it. And that was the best thing. I respect Nate a lot for that, because he knows exactly what happened. And what happened on the field should stay there a lot of the time. And I think that was one of the cases. But it didn't. So when they asked him, he was all up for it, because he knew there was no bad
actual
blood
beef
between us. I think we toured together at the end of that year. But that was the video that everyone's seen was the first scene where we actually just turned up in this car.
So you could have literally done it. You could have done that in about half an hour.
Yeah, but they wanted to try these other ones, but because the other ones weren't natural like that,
they weren't as good.
That's the one they went with. And as I said, mate, that was exactly what happened. We turned up in a car park and just sat there, and probably took.
That's crazy.
Probably 20 minutes where we just were going.
What's going on?
Yeah, that was it,
mate. That is crazy. Is that so? Everything you see there is exactly what was happening.
Nothing scripted, nothing. Nothing set up. Oh, I got no idea. The NRL had got some people in to do it, but that's exactly what happened. So the next parts were scripted and were like now you walk in the elevator and you just sort of, they said just do what you did outside, but it just wasn't as natural as what that was. So, that's the way it turned out.
And
that was great. I think that got about. I could be making it up here, 5 million views or something.
Mate, it was hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
I remember they were very happy with that campaign for the mental awareness. Yeah.
And the crazy thing was like you could have literally rocked up and done it in like 2 seconds, because I just.
It ended up being a whole day. I could have gone home a lot earlier. But anyway, it turned out good.
Whoever did that is a marketing genius, because that was hilarious. And so, that's another thing that I find really. I don't know whether it's gone in today's generation, but that respect of, like, you had a fight on the field, but that's the end of it. And two men can just go, you know what, like, we both understand what's happened here or whatever, and we can walk away from it. You don't really, like, sometimes I think it's really frustrating when people take it off the field and talk about it and this and that, and instead of just going, as you and Nate did, you just kind of whatever.
I just think that's just the way of the world these days, you know, with a lot of things. I think, you know, even you look at boyfriend, girlfriends breaking up these days, it's on Facebook. Text message or Twitter, Facebook, So I think that's just the way the world's going. But me and Nate we're a bit older, obviously. We're man enough to know what happened, and as I said, we toured together in the World Cup at the end of that year and had a great time. And there's no issue between me and Nate. You know,
it would be good as a charity fight between you two. That would be good. That would be good.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen.
So going forward, your deal with actually before I get to that, I would ask you a positive thing. You're one of the toughest players to ever lace the boots up. Like, honestly, the feats that you've done by coming on the field with the injuries that you've had. I remember one, you had a back surgery and you wanted to play the week after the surgery or something like that.
It wasn't that long, but I did play 9 weeks later. Yeah,
mate, that's outrageous.
Yeah, it was.
Where does this come from? Where does this come from?
I got no idea, mate. I don't know, and people ask me all the time.
Yep.
I don't have any secret. I don't know. I wasn't. I don't know. I remember when I was 8 years old. It was Mother's Day. And my parents went out for the night and they come home and they brought the party back to our place. And I wake up with a sore stomach and Dad's like, go to bed, you'll be right. I'm having a good night. And I went to bed all night. I was like, man, Dad, I'm sick. I'm telling you. And they're like, go to bed.
I want to have a beer.
And the morning come and they're probably a bit hungover. And I said, Dad, something's wrong, eh? And they go, no, you'll be right. Anyway, finally, they took me to hospital. I had a burst appendicitis. Had emergency surgery. Dad was like shattered. Like they were shattered. The doctor, what are you taking to the hospital? Like they were in trouble.
Oh my god! And they would have been hungover too as well.
Anyway, I played 2 weeks later. I missed that weekend of footy.
But as an 8-year-old,
I remember I had a baby brother at the time, and I told Dad, I said, Dad, I want to play footy, and he goes, no way, your mum will kill me. I said, don't tell her. So we went and got one of my
boys will be boys.
Brother's nappies, and I'll never forget, I put the nappy on the scar and duct taped it to me.
Wait a second.
And went and played.
Wait a second here. You put a nappy on.
A nappy, yeah.
And you played a week after.
Yeah. So two. I missed 1 week and played it.
So you missed 1 week, 10 days later with you had a surgery for a burst appendix.
Yeah, and I played. I was
with a nappy on your...
With a nappy, the old cloth nappy, we folded up and put it on there and duct taped it to me, and I played.
Mate, that is outrageous.
I just love playing footy. That was what I wanted to do. And
mate, that is outrageous.
It's quite funny. So I suppose I've just continued that as I've gotten older. But look, I don't know. I remember I played a number of games. Painkillers help these days.
Yep.
But, sometimes a lot of players do it. A lot of players do it. It's just got to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about nappies on burst appendix. So
I was only a kid. I wouldn't do it these days. Yeah.
So it's. Do you think it's like an old school tough upbringing, or like what do you like? Is there anything that you can kind of pinpoint that because there's to have that lack of self-preservation? I mean, to sacrifice your body for the team so often is. Like, where does that come from? You know what I mean? It's such an interesting thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. People ask me all the time.
And
I just don't know. And I suppose there's a lot of things that surprise a lot of people.
Yep.
That happen on the field, and people are shocked by it, or even in general world. And I'm not really. It doesn't really shock me that much. I don't know. I just don't know.
Crazy.
I'm a little bit different like that.
Yep.
But,
just one of those things,
Just one of the things I couldn't pinpoint it.
And so, looking back on, you've agreed to another year with the Sharks.
Yeah, so it was a long process. We had a tough time getting it done, to be honest, and that stemmed a little bit from everything that happened over the past couple of years and a few other things going on. And the club didn't want me to play State of Origin next year, and I obviously want to be available for it.
Yep.
And, so that was an issue for a moment. But then it did take a long time, but. It wasn't like we're chasing it every day.
Going back and forth.
I always knew I was going to play next year.
Yep.
If it not be at Cronulla, it would have been overseas probably. But
okay.
I knew I was going to get a contract.
Yep.
I always wanted to be at Cronulla, obviously, but so we never pursued it every day until when the Origin finished. That was when we sort of said, look, it's getting late in the year now. We've got to start to know what's going on. And once we sort of said, look, we need to get it done, it got done pretty quickly.
Yep.
So there was a lot of talk about it,
But it wasn't as dramatic as...
It wasn't as dramatic as people made it.
Okay.
No way.
Because you've got a pretty good relationship with Cronulla. Obviously, you've done so much for them.
As I said, I could have, and everyone knows, I could have left a lot of times, but I wanted to stay a one club player, and I'm at the age now where there's no point in me going anywhere else. I've got next year to go on contract. Look, I'd love to play again. I feel that I'll never forget. Cameron Smith said to me one night, we're having a drink over in London, middle of London, and he said to me, he goes, you're the white Petro Civoniceva. I said, at the time I was only about 30. I said, Petro's 35, 36. And Petro was still playing for Australia at the time. I'm with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think he was 35. He was still playing for Australia. He goes, mate, you'll be playing at that age. Don't worry about it. And I thought, no way. And now next year I'm 35, and I can feel like I can keep going. I mean, I'm in good shape. And the thing, I suppose, the difference between me and Petro was, the big lumbering type front row. I'm still a little bit more dynamic, not as dynamic as I used to, but
you still can move.
Fast enough. I can move. I can move laterally, okay, still. So there's no reason why I can't keep going. But I'll be putting everything into next year, and obviously hoping to captain New South Wales again for the last time. Yep,
and the thing that the science recently has created longer careers. How good science is. Supplements, how good training is. It has prolonged careers a lot more. I mean, look at a guy like Corey Parker. He's playing the best footy he's ever played.
Yeah, that's right. And I think people get a bit mixed up with the science side. The science certainly helps it, but you know what it is? It's just training smarter.
Okay,
that's what it is. And the reason is, I suppose this is a science part of it, is that me and Corey Parker don't need to train like a fullback. The fullbacks don't need to train like the front rowers. Front rowers need to do totally different training. Fullbacks need to do a lot more longer running. They've got to be a lot fitter in different areas where they've got to be up and down off the deck, that short 10-metre burst, and the physical wrestle and things like that. You don't need outside backs and wingers and fullbacks doing half an hour worth of wrestle.
100%
That's where it's gotten a whole lot. That's where it's gotten a whole lot smarter, and I think that's the reason you will see a lot of guys prolong their careers. And now, I look at the best players in the game these days, this year, and I still think they were the best players 5 years ago. I still don't. There's a sprinkling of young guys coming up and through.
That's a fair point.
I still think when you look at Cameron Smith, Greg Inglis, Billy Slater,
Thurston,
guys like that. I want to name a couple of New South Wales guys in there. I still think they're probably the top 10 to 15 players in the game 5 years ago are probably still the best players
That's
today.
A fair point. That's a fair point. And looking back on your career, is it something that you look back and you're like, man, I can't believe how much I've achieved and done, or is it just day by day you continue to train, you continue to say, I just love what I do, I enjoy it? Is it something that you do kind of does blow you away, being such a successful footy player?
No, I think the second part you said, just it's a day by day, and it's what I do. That's more my attitude. Maybe when I sit down and think about it one day, I've achieved a lot when you talk about it like that. And
mate, have a look at your wiki.
And
I'm telling you,
I've achieved individually, I've achieved just a lot of things. Obviously, the one thing is the premiership, is the premiership, and it's look, if I don't win one by the time I retire, it'll be a hollow point always there, considering people think, you could have gone to Manly won comps, but I'm proud, I think, and I think the way I stayed and the reasons I stayed, and I think people will know me as may not have won a comp or haven't won a comp yet, but as a person, people will know I'm a loyal person.
I think your legacy will be much bigger by staying at the Sharks.
I think it will be too, and if I can win that comp at the Sharks, I think it'll be even bigger. So if we can't get it done next year, I might try and squeeze one more out, and that'll be it. And just quickly for the fans, before we go into the fans' questions, we actually Matt Webb was the winner of the competition of the signed jersey by Gallen. Yeah, signed the jersey for him, and I've heard his old man was a bit crook
which
recently,
was just a coincidence. He actually passed away for 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Yes.
40 minutes.
He had CPR done him for...
So I've signed this to the Webb family, and stay strong, stay blue always, and from myself, so well done, mate, and I hope your dad's all right.
Sweet. All right, we're getting into fan questions, and we've gone way over time. I apologise, bro. I knew it was going to happen.
That's all good.
I'll get you out of here. All right, I haven't actually... read these questions because I find it funny when we're both laughing at how funny some of them can be a bit fucking crazy. What's your opinion? This is from Reading Dangler. What is your opinion of the treatment of Sandor Earl regarding his use of prohibited substances? I know your cases are very, very different, so it's pretty hard to lump. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I think. When what happened to him, look, to be honest with you, I don't have an opinion on it because I don't know the situation. Yep. That's the thing. People want to draw comparisons to the two, but
not even close.
As you said, mate, they're very different, and I've never even met Sandor off the field. So he's a good guy. I don't know his situation whatsoever. So I won't comment on it.
Okay. Sorry about this one.
What do we got?
Which of the 39 points the Cows put on you in that absolute masterclass was your favourite? So jealous of your seats that day.
Wow. What was my favourite?
Probably Thurston's when he... Didn't he do some hectic pass inside through two players or something?
Nah, that wasn't us. That was a couple of weeks earlier. We watched that one on video. I don't know. It was a rough night, mate. Thanks for reminding me. The only positive thing that came out of that night was the fact that the Cowboys went on to win the competition. So
that is a good.
You're going to get knocked out by a team. I suppose you're going to get knocked out by the Premiers.
Very true. This has already been answered. So, do you intend to make yourself available for Origin next year? But obviously. Is it hard to see, this is from Thurl Howe, is it hard to watch good mates get forced out of a club? Obviously it is. But
it's hard. And being in the position that I'm in as well, being captain of a club for so long, you're the captain, it's a hard role, a lot
link between the coaching
between the coach and the players. You're the best mates with these blokes. You train, you go bust your gut with them on the weekend, and then the coach calls you in and said, "Mate, this bloke's not doing his job. We're going to have to drop him." And it's a hard role. And a lot of the time, the players won't be happy. They think you've had something to do with it. It's really, really tricky. And it is hard. It is tough because, as I said, you become best mate. You see these blokes more than your family. You're with them 8 hours a day, and then you play them on the weekend. And it is hard. But I think at the end of the day, everyone knows it's a professional sport, and that's just the way it is. And
the thing that sucks as well is that you don't have the cushioning of being a coach, of being separate from the players. So it's like you get all the negatives of a coach of having something to do with the decisions.
That's right.
And none of the positives of being insulated from the team that you're the coach trying to do the right thing.
You've summed it up perfectly. It is a hard role, especially when when things aren't going so good. When things are going good, it can be easy. Everyone's flying high and patting you on the back. But when it's tough, it's tough.
Well, this is stupid. I won't even ask that. As someone who has used peptides myself, I tend to think the NRL players should be allowed to use them. That's aborted bubble. Lucky you don't have your real name there, buddy.
I bought that one.
I bought that one. Fuck yeah, love some Gal. How close do you think Wade Graham is to busting into the Origin squad?
Yeah, good question. Look, I said it the other day on radio. I think if he had been playing the way he finished the season, his last 6 to 8 games at the start of the season, or that first 6 to 8 week period, 10-week period before the Origin was picked, he would have been pushing for that utility bench spot. There's no doubt about that. And I just hope that for his sake, 'cause I know how much he wants to play, he can have a good preseason and start the way he finished this year. If he can do that and keep building, he'll be very close. There's no doubt about that.
He's such in my opinion, as an ex-footy player, he's such a unique, kind of strange position. He's an ex-half that's you got but he can ball play, but he's very aggressive. It's like it seems like it was like a 2-3 year period. We went from like a good halfback to an aggressive, strong, dominant forward, which is such a strange transition.
Yeah, look, he was always a big halfback. He was always taller and solid, and now he's obviously growing as a man. He's 25 now. He's just 25 the other day. He's
still really young.
He's developing and he's getting stronger, and that's what you need to be as a back rower. And he's got a good aggressive attitude, as you said, which is needed as a back rower. I think he's the biggest part that probably let him down over the past few years has been his work rate, because he had to figure out how to become that back row and
put on that weight as well.
But this year, as I said, his last 8 to 10 games, he couldn't fold his work rate. I mean, he was up there, between the 15 and 20 runs a game in 80 minutes and making all these tackles. So,
which is massive for
massive, and his effectiveness was good too. He can kick, as you said. So
he offers so much, especially being a 25-year-old. If he was to make
and he's played at hooker in the City Country games as well. So he's got that real utility value.
Real utility, nearly anywhere.
If you wanted him play like the Origin, an Origin player off the bench, he could play in the halves, play at hooker, play in the back row. So.
Play in the centres even.
If you need him to. But as I said, I just hope he starts the season the way he finished it and keeps building and he gets a crack.
Do you do, well, you probably don't now, but do you do more fitness training than the average NRL forward, or is it a bit of a natural ability or motor that sees you frequently play for 80 minutes?
Yeah, no, I definitely do more fitness. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. I think that's one thing I've always prided myself on, is making sure I train harder than everyone else. And there's no doubt about it. I do a lot more, and you can ask me teammates about that. I'm always doing as much. I go into Origin camps, and Trent Merrin, he always comes along with me, and we always do extras. And I remember one day, he come up to me, he goes, "You want to do a 4 in 5?" Which is the 4 laps around the field in 5 minutes. And I go, I didn't really want to. I said, "Oh yeah, if you want to." And he goes, "I'm just joking. I can't believe you actually said you'd do it." Like he always tries to get me like that. Mez trains his backside off too.
Mate, Mez has so much talent. I think that he's only 25 or something now as well. I think.
Young too. Played a lot of rep
football. Oh
too,
mate,
so,
I think that in the next few years, if Penrith really nurture him the way they should, I think he could be something special for New South Wales. I guess, how do you deal with the doubters? It says a local radio commentator said after you lost to the Cowboys this year, that was as close as the Sharks were going to get to a premiership in a while. This was a commentator said, a local commentator. How do you how have you dealt with, because you're such a polarizing figure and you do actually say what you think and how you feel? A lot of players don't, because they're too scared to get in trouble, which is understandable, because honestly, you say one thing and
it's everywhere.
How do you deal with that constant pressure of media ready to just pounce on it?
Yeah, this is the thing. I think you got to know yourself. You've got to have a good group of people around you. I've got some great friends I've had since I've been 6-7 years old, still with me. My wife, my kids. You've got to have that behind you, but you just got to know yourself and know that. And at the end of the day, these people say these stupid things. Like, what are you not going to do? You're not going to turn up next week. You're not going to. Sharks aren't going to put a team on the field next year. We're not going to turn up for State of Origin next year. It's just people just say stupid things and don't think about it. And it really annoys me, to be honest with you. What they actually think, we just won't play next year. It's just ridiculous. Some of the things they say. So
when you break it down into a practical, what they're actually practically saying,
it's just stupid. It's ridiculous. Like, of course, what am I going to do? No, I'm not going to play next year. If someone runs at me, I'll just let them run past me. Like,
we're not going to win.
You always got to go out there and as I said earlier, you go out there and you do your best. If you can go out there and do your best all the time. No one can take too much away from you.
It's very, very true. Very true. Last question. On a scale of 1 to Stan like obsession, so Stan being the Eminem song Stan, how much do you like New South Wales? Love New South Wales.
Look at as much as you can.
It's in your
know.
blood.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't. I haven't said to my. I got most of my family now live in Queensland.
Yep.
And my brother's had a couple of kids up there. I said, if you don't drive your missus to the border to have the baby, that's not my niece or nephew. Then I was only joking. So I've got.
I'm only joking, but kind of not joking.
But kind of, if you really want to do it, you can do it. So,
do you enjoy that being the kind of heel of? Do you enjoy having Queensland being you are the pinnacle of what represents New South Wales? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I do because I think for the majority of it, until you get a few drinks into the Queensland, it's done pretty respectfully.
Yeah.
Like, all the
Everyone
time.
understands.
Yeah, Justin Hodges has said to me a number of times, mate, you should have been a Queenslander, just things like that. And, and
mate, you would have been a perfect Queenslander.
and even the other day, I had to do a video message to a bloke who loves me, and he's a Queenslander. And I said, look, I don't have too many fans up there, so I want to wish you a happy 21st birthday. He was 21. So. As I said, I think most of it's done respectfully until they get a few beers in it and then they give it to me. At my brother's wedding the other day, the reception was near a pub, and as I got out of the pub, everyone was all right until they couldn't see me. Then the Queenslander started coming out.
What's the best call? What's the best call you've heard? Like best spray? I remember one was this fan. This is when I was playing reserve grade. They called it, "Hey Camp," and I for some reason I heard it, and they go, "The chicken called. He wants his legs back."
I don't know that one. I've got fat little legs. Look, I don't know.
There'd be so many.
There'd be that many. I can't remember.
Oh mate, this has been fantastic. I appreciate coming on the show, man. I really, really. I love watching you go out there because being a Queenslander, I enjoy the passion that you go on the field with. I enjoy watching it. Makes the game what it is. So thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, buddy.
The Locker Room is brought to you by Will and Tim of Brooker Athlete Management. Brooker Athlete Management assists and mentors elite sports people and celebrities in financial management and guidance above and beyond that of contract negotiations.